Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too, empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk 101. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. In this upcoming Girl Talk, I'm honored to introduce the one and only Shcarra Benn AKA the Creative Leo. Shcarra is a fabulous female boss movin, shakin, and poppin right here in Cleveland, Ohio. She's a fellow creative entrepreneur who's opening doors for other creative entrepreneurs. Connecting with Shcarra is another reminder that even though I can feel like my city is small or that I've met all the VIPs, there are always folks doing big things right under our noses. When I got hip to Shcarra, I was like, how have I never connected with this woman? Someone curating spaces for community leaders, entrepreneurs, and urban hustlers? Well, I guess the bright side is it was only a matter of time. Now, to her point, we crossed paths before, but I guess it's always about that divine timing for purpose to manifest. In part one of this conversation, Shcarra and I get real about her behind-the-scenes journey, how she scaled, what important moments defined her, who were her mentors, what she's building, what's next, and so much more. So, if you're someone needing inspiration about your next steps, casting the vision, and thriving as a creative, you don't want to miss. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation. Hi, guys. It's your girl, author Nicole D. Miller, welcoming you to Girl Talk 101, and I'm super excited to introduce to you our next guest, Miss Shcarra Benn. How are you, Shcarra?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Awesome. Now, Shcarra and I have been fighting for this interview, guys. Like, we've been wrestling for it. I'm so grateful for her patience and for reminding me that we were scheduled. But introduce yourself, Shcarra. Let our audience know who you are, what you do, and all the things.
Sure. So I am Shcarra Benn, AKA the Creative Leo, owner of Creative Leo Designs, where we do graphic design, commercial printing, and I am a creative strategist. And I work with entrepreneurs or new organizations and corporations. They're alike to bring their creativity to life and look at creativity from a different lens, in a sense. I also work with entrepreneurs to help them get things done, help them stay on track. So I started a business group called Real Business Talk Entrepreneurship Group, where we meet once a week, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We rotate virtual and in person. And the whole goal is to keep entrepreneurs on track, have a circle of accountability partners, and also get work done. So as entrepreneurs, you got to work on the business. You have to take that time out, be strategic, plan it out. And so the group is to help people stay on track, plan things out. If you're going to like events and different things, learning different things, maybe you watch the webinar, or you just taking notes and closing the notebook, or are you going to apply it? Are you actually going to get active? And so that's what the group is about in a nutshell. So yeah.
I love that. It sounds like an accountability group for creative entrepreneurs. Now, give us the tea. Walk us through the behind the scenes of how you got to where you are today. Did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to do this? Or I'm sure there was a process.
Yeah, definitely a process. So I've been a creative since the day I was born. When I was younger, I would draw uh, different scopes and schemes and, landscapes and things like that. But I went to go study interior design at the University of Akron. And I loved it. I loved my major. I loved what I was learning. But I had a professor who used to be on my neck some tough to the point where I felt like the man was targeting me and kind of
Hmm.
and so we were in a tough well, the program was pretty tough. It was only 2 Black females in this program, and we was treated like this. And we are still close to this day. She is my sorority sister now. And so, and so the professor one day said, "Well, Shcarra, come up in front of the class." And I'm thinking, "Why this man keep calling on me?" Type of thing, right? So I go up there, and I'm literally standing there going, "What's up?" Like he was like, "What kind of designer are you gonna be?" He was like, and I'm like, I'm the creative Leo." I said it like I had balls, for lack of better words. And he was like, "Prove it." And at first, I had no idea how I was going to do it, what that meant. I didn't know. So I started the business like a month later to prove it to him, not knowing I needed to prove it to myself. Now, he became my first customer, though. He's also the professor that encouraged me to go study in graphic design. He said that he felt that I was more into computer design because I was a beast on AutoCAD, okay? But drafting by hand, not so much. So I said, okay. So he had me design his flyer for his Christmas party. And he invited me and I went. And it's a Christmas party. So he had a little bit of something going on in his glass. We're in his study and I'm admiring all his awards and accolades. And while I was in that room, he told me, always showcase yourself. Always be proud of who you are. And I said, "Why you be so hard on me?" He said, "Because you don't see the potential that I see in you." I, don't- I thought you didn't like me. He was like, "No." He was like, "I only pick on the ones that I like." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you could have told me that because I was about to call my mama and my daddy to have them come here to talk to you." And me and him created a crazy relationship over the years of me being at the University of Akron. He was a huge supporter um, of me even when I began to do a different major and, focus on business. So he was there. And so that's how it was birthed.
And this is undergrad, right?
This is undergrad.
Wow.
Never thought it would have became what it is now. I was going to graduate my degree. I was going to get my job, live life that way. Being an entrepreneur was never in my thought process like that. But looking back, I always had that hustle. I used to make little stuff for family members to buy. I used to do nails on the side and stuff like that. Like, and I was not about to even do nails. I was just trying to make a little 20, a little $20 here. Um, my grandmother on my dad's side, she used to always say, "You got to figure out how you gonna pay the lights and the rent." Sometimes you got to get real tricky with how you do it. And she taught me a few little things to do to make money and stuff like that. So it was like always put in me to get out here and get out right. And so I guess it was always there, but what pushed me into it full swing was running somebody else's company and watching what I did there. And then realizing mine was my AKA side hustle. What can I do if I put my energy into it? And honestly, I was scared. I was scared to take the leap. I would leap of faith. I'm like, no, I need to know what we're doing from, period. But the job has shown me that they did not value me. They did not respect me. And then I realized I got to make a change. And so I decided, be done with that job and go full time on my business. I haven't looked back since, but it was scary, and to be quite honest, every week is still it.
And how long ago was that?
8 years now, so 8 years full time. And
So looking back on your journey, what would you tell your younger self to watch out for, to prepare for, to anticipate anything?
prepare yourself for the days that you're not gonna feel as if you're good enough, but to understand the reassurance of you are good enough. Your creativity does matter, because I used to think that people not gonna like my designs or how I do it, and so I used to be really hard on myself, really hard. And then I realized one day, no, everybody creativity matters, and there's a person who's gonna like it. It's just that simple. And so everybody doesn't have to like it. In addition, I would say that um, understand that your journey is going to change, but it doesn't mean you failed. It's just changed, but it doesn't mean you failed, because life is not cookie cutter. And sometimes you might be trying to do this one thing. When I started my business, I actually did event planning all the way up until COVID. And I had to make a very hard decision as of COVID. Am I going to do events anymore or not? And I liked doing events. And sometimes I even loved it. But I realized it wasn't my passion. My professor was right. I love creating things digital. I like working on the computer. He was right. I like also doing things visually creative. Like I like staging different things for a particular like a cast or TV show, something like that. But the planning part of doing event planning, I'm not her. I used to get frustrated to the point where people ask me now, I'm like, I'm not doing no more event. Now I'll come decorate. I'll come help decorate, because then I still like again the staging photos. So a big piece of advice that I wish I had, which is trust. Trust yourself. Trust yourself and your feelings on what you want to do and don't want to do. Do not be swayed by what somebody is telling you should do or what they think you should do. Trust you and let that be. So that's the advice that I wish I would have probably did stuff differently.
Now, you touched on some of the challenges in your career that kind of influenced you in pivoting, right? So, COVID, big deal. Your own internal unsettling with doing event planning. What personal experiences have you had that may have posed some challenges that you were able to be resilient in and transform that resilience into your career? So, you touched on how you used to feel insecure. You had to work through that and be confident in yourself to continue your business. Were there any other personal challenges or ways you had to develop for your business to persevere?
Absolutely. From COVID, I decided to pivot into commercial printing. Commercial printing was on the list, and my goal was to print for my events. That was it. I really wasn't thinking about nothing else. My grandmother passed away during COVID. I could not do her obituary to save my life. I sat in front of that computer probably 3 days on end trying to keep coming back to it to try to do it. And I didn't like it. And I just felt defeated. Like I cannot do this. And I know it was personal, it was my grandmother. And me and her was like this. So I told my family, I can't. They're like, it's okay. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I never really said the I can't thing, you know. I always they call me Miss Figure It Out because I'm gonna figure it out. In that moment I quit. I had to be 100% vulnerable. Well, when we got the obituary, it was nice. It wasn't bad or nothing. But let me tell you what I realized and as I held it. I said, man, I could have did this. And Literally at her funeral, I was crying, but I was crying because I felt like I let her down, because I felt like I could have memorialized her myself just as equal. It was not a bad design, but I'm like, I know I could have did it. I'm like, why couldn't you do it? So I told myself, moving forward, any other family member, you're not gonna do this. You're not gonna lock up. You're gonna be there for the family. So let me tell you what I did. I had the printer, right? Because I told you I was trying to get it. By the way, I self-sabotaged myself probably for years, telling myself I wouldn't get approved for this printer, by the way, because the printer costs 42 some $1,000. And I'm not gonna be able to get approved. And then went and got approved and was like, oh, okay. From that moment on, I learned to go get your nose. Stop assuming it's a no. Go get it. You better go get it versus sitting there, because I probably could have did the ship a long time ago. But now I got this printer, right? I just told you how much it cost. I got to figure out what the heck I'm about to print on this thing. I got to get something going. Well, I had another family member pass. I went to the funeral home, same funeral home that did my grandmother. Went there and was like, hey, we're going to do business together. He like, oh, yeah? How long you been doing this? I said, I've been a designer all my life. I said, I know I can do this, but I've never did this. He said, well, how you going to? I said, because you're going to give me a chance. He said, I'm going to give you a chance. I said, you are. And we going to work together, and I'm going to see how we can, And he said, okay, I'll give you a chance. I said, okay. So, be like 3 weeks later, he called me and was like, hey, I got one for you. And I was like, okay. Because I'm bold on the outside, but look, on the inside, your girl be mushy applesauce, okay? I was like, all right, I got it. Let's go. I hung up the phone like, oh, I was doing like the Sanford and Son. Help me, please. He called me, now what? So I had to activate my creative Leo, okay? She had to get active. And then my first obituary. And I realized, all right, you just got to keep trying, And so then he said, you think you can do another one? I said, yeah. Mind you, I did it. I printed it. And I kept going, doing different ones. And then I was like, okay, I can work with others, right? I can, but maybe this funeral home will see if they can on here. So my goal was to begin to push myself out of the fear of doing them. And so now I do about 15 or 20 or so a week. That funeral home that gave me that chance, I do about 90% of all their stuff. And if it wasn't for them giving me the opportunity and allowing me to make my mistakes that I made, you understand it, allowing me to grow in my design and development and printing phases of even doing, it was like another entrepreneur giving you some help, right? But when I was so transparent with him. I said, he said, what made you want to start doing this? I said, because I felt like my grandmother was telling me, you could do this. You got it. And because I didn't do her, I said, another family member, I will not. Since then, I've done every family member that we've had, my immediate family. And so I would say that's a moment where I had to be resilient through my own self, right? Um, and my knowledge I had to get caught up. I had the printer, but it didn't mean I had years of experience with it. I had to go learn it. I went to conferences, trying to learn this stuff about the printer, and I'm like, oh, that's how to do this, because I burnt myself with it. I didn't know it heated up. And I didn't even know it heated up the way it did. I stuck my hand in. Oh my goodness, it was like literally sticking your hand on like the coil that's an electric stove. Like, and so it was just a lot. And it's funny that you had said was, resilient. How did you have to be resilient? In my sorority, my name is Rosilient. My mentor gave me that name because She said that I've been knowing her since I was 18 and after you. And she said everything you've been through, you've had to be resilient through it. You always push through. And people always say you figure it out. But sometimes in my moments, it's not always clear, but I refuse to give up. And I use some of my moments in my life where I'm like, and I think about the printer thing quite a bit, to be honest with you. Um, Go get your no. I tell myself this all the time. Literally, I'm like, Shcarra, go get the no. Go get the no. Don't be scared to go ask. Just come on. I talk to myself. Because it's challenging for sure. But that's like one big hurdle I overcame. The next one is what's about to happen in August.
We're gonna put a pin on that, so our audience will have to wait till the end. But I love that story, and it speaks to me of turning your pain into purpose, which is something I've shared with my own personal journey with writing and everything I'm walking in now. But how our heartbreak can be the very catalyst that pushes us forward in purpose. Now, you touched on wearing a lot of different hats, correct? And so, how did you go from graphic designer, got this printer, working with these funeral homes, which I commend you for the hustle and your mouthpiece? I'm like, okay, I love it. How did you go from that to becoming, it sounds like more of a business coach, an entrepreneurial coach, creating these spaces for entrepreneurs to be equipped? How did that evolve?
So a lot of my clientele is also entrepreneurs. And what happened was I'm like one of those people that's gonna help, you know, most especially if I see you struggling. What's going on? You good? What you need me to call somebody? Like if I need to make a connection. So a lot of my clients started calling me a lot. And they were like, hey, you need to do business consulting. I said, hold on. We could just talk. I don't want you to pay me because I don't want you to come back if you mad. No, we just have chit chat. What you got going on? Well, it turned into a lot of chit chat. All right. And I was like, okay, hold on, everybody. Too much chit chat. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a Zoom. Everybody can get on. Woo, 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 right? So this was over COVID. And got on the Zoom and I realized, okay, you could probably help this person, the greatness of networking, right? And so then I decided that I wanted to do a vision board party, but for business owners. And that was in 2022. So right after, the swing. So in 2022, we did the business board party and we had a great time. A lot of connecting, a lot of things was going on. But I knew my level of what I could do and couldn't do is it can't do like a whole lot when it comes to certain areas. Let me say that. I had to mind my own capacities. So I work with a lot of businesses on the minority business certification side because I was actually contracting with the Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council, which I still do. And so basically, it was to help business owners understand the process of becoming certified and how that worked out. Well, that in turn became how I'm getting to know more people, right? And people say you easy to talk to, which I love it, but I can't talk to the world. I'm like, hey, I'm sleepy right now, or hey, I'm trying to go to the movies. So when we had the vision for I be trying to have work-life balance.
I get it, girl.
And I love going to the movies. So I said, okay, well, if everybody can kind of each one teach one type vibe, and it was cool. Well, then after that, I got super busy doing a lot of different things and wasn't able to, again, put in that time like I wanted to. Fast forward, I said in 2026, I wanted to make sure that I reconnected that. I felt like a lot of people had needed it. So then I did the business vision board party again this past year. We had like 116 or so businesses register. It was at the Cleveland Public Library downtown, and they were great help with the space and everything. Well, in that moment, from what I learned going to do my Goldman Sachs program, which was you need to know your numbers. You need to strategically plan. I said, "So we make these vision boards, but what do they mean?" Right? Right? Because they just be sitting there, you know. So I wanted to do it by quarter. Like, hey, you gotta let me give back what I done learned. Because that's how, I feel like you're supposed to do. That's how you that help a hand for somebody who may be working that full-time job and they get to go to the program like I did.
One of the things I appreciated Shakara sharing was how supportive her professor was of her craft. What she initially thought was him being mean was actually him seeing her potential. Can you relate? He even became her first client. Shakara was similar to me in having her plan after college and not seeing her creativity as a space of prosperity. Looking back, she can see that she was always a hustler. I also resonate with her initially building for someone else and with her initial hesitancy to take the leap. Her lack of value from her employer was her motivator for pursuing her full time creativity, which was the same for your girl. I love Shakara's authenticity. She didn't fake it like she always felt confident and had to learn that everybody's creativity matters, including her own. Another hot topic that hit home was when Shakara opened up about how the loss of her grandmother inspired her to take the next step in her commercial printing business. Her story is such a great reminder that God makes ashes into beauty, and all things work for our good. One of the Shakara statements I so loved was, "Go get your nose," meaning don't take no for an answer. Go after that thing you think you can't achieve, just as she did with her commercial printing machine. Now she handles 90% of the funeral home's obituaries, the one she initially pitched to when she didn't have a lick of experience. Talk about hustle. One of the key takeaways in part one of this discussion is the reminder that our elders are cheering for us. Shakara's grandmother believed in her. Her words carried Shakara through her journey of becoming who she was called to be. Our elders see us and speak words of life over us. I resonate. My mother's heart for me to be an entrepreneur was the inspiration for my first business, ABN Bookkeeping, which was named after both her and my grandmother. So, as you can see, Shakara fits perfectly into the Girl Talk tribe. And there is more wisdom and wealth of knowledge to come from part two of our conversation. So stay tuned. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at indiemiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDmiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.